The Royal Wedding by Nicole Durachinsky, Herzing University. The royal wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle captured the attention of the world. It had its share of controversy, mostly surrounding the bride. This controversy mostly included the fact that she is biracial, half white, and half African American. This presentation will include articles from the United States, Great Britain, and Canada, of which each has a different focus and perspective of the wedding and couple. The first article hails from an American women's magazine, Harper's Bazaar. Meghan Markle, an American actress, is said to have honored her American heritage throughout her wedding to Prince Harry. She also honored her African American heritage. This article focuses on how Meghan blended American aspects with English traditions. The sermon was given by Reverend Michael Curry, an Episcopalian bishop who is the head of the Anglican Church in America. Following the sermon, the song "Stand By Me" was performed by the Kingdom Choir. The couple exited the chapel to the Etta James version of "This Little Light of Mine." It was played outside, and they kissed when they exited the church. The second article is from the BBC, which is the British Broadcasting Corporation. This article focuses on the ceremony itself, with points such as the communication between the bride and groom, which included how they looked at each other and little things that they said to each other throughout the ceremony. The bride's dress, which was hotly debated after the wedding. Some people loved it, some people hated it. And celebrities that attended the wedding, and the sequence of some of the events. Unlike the first article, it did not focus on the American traditions versus the British traditions. It was more of an overview of the wedding itself. The article begins with painting a picture of the couple exchanging vows in front of their 600 guests. It focused on the reaction of Prince Harry when he saw Meghan Markle, and of how they looked at each other. The bride wore a white boat neck dress by British designer Claire Waite Keller. Celebrity guests included Oprah Winfrey, George and Amal Clooney, David and Victoria Beckham, Sir Elton John, and many others, and that was just naming a few of them. The article concluded with the attire of the prince and his brother, the Duke of Cambridge. Both were dressed in British Army attire, and Prince Harry was allowed to keep his beard by permission of the Queen, although it had to be shaved short. The third and final article is from a Canadian newspaper, the Toronto Sun. This article focuses on the views of Canadians living in England. They consider themselves Canadian expats. A group of Canadian expats have a plan to watch the royal wedding at a venue 90 minutes from Windsor Castle, which is the site of the royal wedding. This article was written 2 days prior to the wedding. Joanna Newman, a native Canadian, says she will be celebrating the royal wedding with pride. She has not lived in Canada for over 20 years, and when she says she's going to enjoy it with pride, she meant British pride, as though she was British, but from a Canadian view. She claims people in Toronto knew that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were dating long before it became public, and they were able to keep it a secret. This is something she believes that Americans would not have been able to do, and it would have been all over the news much sooner. Several Canadian expats plan to watch the royal wedding, again, celebrating it all day long from a location about 2 hours from Windsor Castle. They plan to have a party all day long while watching the royal wedding and its subsequent events. The article then talks about the royal wedding and the hype and excitement felt throughout Britain. They talked about the hype and excitement not only from the standpoint of British citizens, but also expats such as themselves. The American article heavily focused on the American aspects of the wedding. The British article was more about the wedding as a whole, more or less just reporting the event. The Canadian article seemed mostly about Canadians living in England, with a later focus on the wedding. The foreign articles, which would be the American and Canadian articles, revolved on how their countries or countrymen were involved in the wedding, albeit not directly. For instance, the expats celebrating away from the wedding. The home country, which was Britain, just focused on the event. It did not distinguish the British aspects versus the American aspects, and it certainly didn't mention anyone from Canada. This showed to me that some outlets feel the need to relate the current event to the countries from which they were written and most likely have the biggest readership. This is an obvious incorporation of the popular culture associated with each country. The Americans only care about the Americans, Canadians care about Canadians, and it was a British event. The British seem to only care about one of their princes getting married and not all the extra stuff that the other countries seem to focus on. My views before and after. I viewed the royal wedding as a mildly interested viewer. I always enjoy beautiful events such as this. That is, in essence, how I viewed it, a beautiful event. After reading the Canadian article, I did not view the event any differently, nor after reading the British article, although the details of the event were interesting. I found the American article the most interesting and enjoyed how they listed the different ways Meghan Markle incorporated American aspects in her African American heritage. Leads me to believe that the writers know what they are doing by relating current events to their readers. Although the royal family is loosely considered leadership as a monarchy, politics were left out of the event. It focused on the couple and their family and friends.